What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction and I share my life with you. Today, we got a special guest coming on the channel. He's fixing to join me in about 5 minutes. We've got Kyle from the channel SoberDogs, and I guess you could probably imagine SoberDogs. He's sober and he loves dogs, and his dog goes everywhere with him. And Nathaniel, I'm talking to them, not you. I love you. I love you, but buddy.
Guys, don't listen to Mom. Her's lying.
Okay, that's enough.
Oh, Lord.
What
help
else do you
me.
want besides your hot pocket?
I'm going to get his link, you guys.
My goldfish.
Hey, Merk. Hey, John. What's up, you guys? Hey, Successful Convicts. Y'all don't forget to subscribe to his channel, too. I'm telling y'all what, this boy over here, being on quarantine or being on social distancing, you guys, it's really tough. And our school, Silencio! Our school just decided that they were going to keep the kids out until April 17th, you guys. He don't want to share me with you. Come over here, Nate. They all want to talk to you now that you done made an entrance. Come on. Come on. Come sit down. You run the show. Here you go.
Why?
Go ahead.
He's the boss.
There you go. Tell him what's up.
You know I can't read, right?
It's okay. You don't have to read. Say, what's up, you guys? Look at the camera. No. Go ahead. Say hi.
No.
Okay. Well, then.
Here's your hot pocket, bud.
Okay. Bye.
No, I'm going to click.
Bye.
And some goldfish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So. Hey, Justin.
No,
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And tell him I said I love him, too. Okay, so let's get everybody in here. I'm going to link Kyle's channel real fast. That's what I was trying to do. Let me get the link to his channel so that way you guys will be able to find him a little bit easier. Okay, there you go. And, hey, Melissa, will you go and let the girls in Patreon know that we're live? And let me get this. I'll share this in the Discord. So how's everybody doing? How are y'all doing with the... Oh, thanks. You did a good job, Merk. Merk beat me to the Discord. Okay.
Careful with it.
Thank you, Melissa. Good job. Okay, y'all are on top of it today. I appreciate y'all helping me out. We haven't even been home for a straight week, and I'm losing my shit. I am losing my mind. I do not want to be home in this house for a month. You know, I don't know how we're going to do it. I don't know how everybody's going to do it. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Morgan. Hey, Jolene. I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. I appreciate y'all. I'm just doing good. You know me, just chilling and chilling. Yeah. Hey, Kyle. Hold on. Let me get you on the screen.
Okay. I just got to get my dog out of here. She's... Hold on.
Okay. Hey, doggy dog. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Lisa. Oh, damn. That's sad. Hey, Bob.
Alrighty. What's up?
What's up with you, man? I'm so glad you came on the channel. I'm excited to hear your story.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you do all this because just everything's crazy right now.
Ugh.
It's nuts. Meetings are canceled. Nuts.
It's stressing me out because it's stressing me out because I have a 5-year-old, and so he's stressed out because we're in the house. He wants to go places. He wants to do these things, and I tell him, you know, if there's people that are sick, we really can't do that, and he doesn't understand.
Yep.
You know.
I know. He just maybe the park or something, but I'm sure he just wants to go play with his friends and have fun. And
yeah, my husband took him to the park today, and they went and like did a couple of little errands that they could do that we're, he'll be safe. Nothing's gonna happen. But other than that, we've just been staying at home and not really going anywhere.
Yeah. I know it's got to be really tough for people like early recovery. I mean, I was at a meeting every day, sometimes a couple times a day.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do? I mean, you got to make the best of it. Is your
Right.
work affected at all?
The job that I have from home, I'm able to do that from home. But my regular job, the way they're handling it is if we want to work, we can, and if we don't have to. So I'm going in tomorrow I'm going to go in tomorrow, but I'm not going to break my back hanging out inside the Walgreens, because that's where I'll be at, is inside Walgreens where the pharmacies are at.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know. I just feel like my husband's already, he works for a big grocery store. So he's already like around so many people all day long. So if one of us is going to be out there doing it, then he's going to be out there doing it, because he makes more money than I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, because
I know.
I feel like it's almost going to come down to people are going to start having to choose, like, what family member can go work and what family member can stay home with their kids. Because Nate's not going to go back to school till April 17th.
Wow. And that might even get changed.
Right. They might not even have school for the rest of the year. Then what are they going to do? Are they going to graduate? Are they going to have to be held back? I mean, he's only in kindergarten, but still, like, this is crazy. Like, this is serious.
Probably had like the summer.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't have kids, but I could just imagine that's a whole new level added on to them. And they really don't get it. Like, if they get it, they might not even know, but grandma and grandpa could get it. Somebody else could get it.
Right.
So
I'm trying not to stress out about it. I'm trying to just be like, everything's going to be okay. You know how we do it. It's out of my control. I've got to let go and let God. I can't, because I'm almost getting to the point where I catch myself watching the news and I'm obsessing over it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, they've got so many cases over here. And that's what I will do. Like, I will get obsessed with the situation until I drive myself insane.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And that's easy to do, especially with
Yeah.
everything going on. You can sit there watching news for hours and it's this and this and this. And yeah, I don't
why
like that.
What we're going to do here tonight is we're not even going to worry about that. I want to know all about your story. And listen, I know you've probably told your story at like AA or NA,
Yeah.
but here on Real Talk Recovery, we want to know the whole truth and nothing but the truth. We want to know what it was like before you got high, what it was like while you were high, and what it's like now. But we really want to know how bad it got. So tell us the story. Keep us entertained. I think you'll be able to do it.
Okay.
And I'm just going to let you take it away. If you get like caught up or you kind of pause for a second, I'll jump in and ask you a couple of questions. But other than that, you got the floor, man.
Okay, cool. Thank you. What's the rule on swearing? I try to. Okay. I mean, I won't. I try not to, but I also want to be respectful of where I'm at. You know, up to however you do it or whatever. So. Okay.
You say whatever you want to say, whatever you're comfortable with. If you drop a couple of fuck yous, that's cool with me. I don't mind.
Okay.
Okay.
No problem. Yep. Yeah. I'll so 40 minutes shoot for.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Cool.
If you go over that, it's cool. Whatever you want to do.
Okay. Awesome. Now you're doing a meeting every night, right?
Every night. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And Mara is, which nights do you do the Mara one?
Medication Assisted Recovery Anonymous is on Friday nights at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, every Friday.
Okay. So then, like, tonight, all the other nights are just people sharing, not officially like a 12-step-ish thing.
Right. Well, I wish that we could get, like, approved through the 12 steps, but the only people that I've able to get approval from to, like, facilitate a meeting is Mara here on my channel. You know how AA and NA are, like, It has to be, like, approved through them. And so, Mara's approved us to be able to do that here, which is cool because I've got a lot of experience with maintenance medication. So that works out just perfectly,
Yep. How's everything going with tapering down?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm doing great. But I want you to tell me about you. I want you to tell me all about, this is what we're doing. Okay. So we're live right now. and there's
Oh,
15 people. Yeah. I
I thought we were just talking before until you were waiting for 8 o'clock.
Oh no, baby, you go ahead.
Oh,
It's
I'm
all
sorry. I thought you were waiting for me till 8 o'clock.
No, look at me. You go on right ahead. You got the floor. This is all you. We started a little bit early tonight because honestly, I was over on Reddit and there's so many people that are like, there's canceling the meetings. There's nowhere to go. And so I was like, you know what? I'll start at 6:45 tonight and then, or is it, yeah, 6:45 here, it's 7:45 there.
Yeah.
And then we can just get started and people will come on as we're live. And then, you know, if they want to, like, just for everybody that's in the chat, if you come in and you're like, wow, they're right in the middle of the story, all you have to do is click down on the bottom and you can rewind all the way to the beginning if you want to catch it from the beginning. Or for those of you guys that don't catch it this live, I am going to re-upload this video right after me and Kyle sign off. So all you have to do is just give me about 10 minutes and then it'll be re-uploaded. And it's almost like it's 6 minutes till. So you start whenever you're ready. If you're ready, I'm ready.
Okay. I didn't know that. That's my mistake.
No, man, it's all good. I probably didn't, like, sometimes I get so excited about stuff, I don't communicate things that well to people. So I probably was texting you like, come on, da, 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 you know.
All right. Well, anyone doesn't know me, my name's Kyle. I call myself the Sober Dog. I try to put out content about recovery and addiction, and I'm a huge animal lover, so that's why I got the name the Sober Dog. And you know, did all my stuff named after my dog, SoberDogs and all that stuff. But I'm here in Rochester, New York. It's where I grew up. It's where I was born. I lived here, you know, the house I'm at, I've lived at for, you know, almost 20 years, besides, you know, during addiction stuff, which I'll get to. But childhood, I had a great childhood, no trauma, beautiful, wonderful house, kids all in the neighborhood. I got two great parents, still around, still together. Everything was great. I got an older brother. And, but always from a young age, there's this underlying anxiety. I just couldn't pin it, but underlying anxiety. No one else put it on me either. That was the thing. I had no pressure from outside people. It was always just me. You got to do this, got to do that. A lot of people pleasing stuff, things like that. And so from an early age, I excelled at sports. I did very well. And I started excelling in sports and playing with always like a class or a group above. And that's, you know, I started hanging out with some of the older people, some of the older crew, this and that. But again, putting more expectations and all that on myself. So,
Right.
Yeah, I was 13. Went on vacation with a buddy of mine to Myrtle Beach, him and his parents. And in the hotel next to us was the coolest, popularest girls in school. There was three sisters, one 2 years older than me, one a year older than me, and one a year younger than me. And they're the prettiest, popularest girls in school. We're hanging out with them, the two younger ones. And it's just normal 13-year-old, you know, am I flirting? What am I doing? I'm anxious, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And we left that night. The next night, we went to the liquor store and we asked some guy outside to buy us vodka. He did. We brought it back to the hotel. My buddy's older brother caught us with it, said, you guys can't handle that. So we took it, and then he felt bad and came back with a bunch of beer for us. So we took the beer. We hated it so much, we put sugar packets in it to try to get rid of the taste, and it foamed up everywhere, but whatever. Drank it down, and I immediately remember that anxiety from the night before went away. I felt better. You know, I felt like I could talk. I felt like I was smooth and doing all this. Really, I don't know how the hell I was, but
Right.
yeah.
I think that we all feel that feeling, like the first time that we ever like use drugs or alcohol, and we can like get that relief where we're like, wow, this is what I've been looking for all my life. This is what I've been needing. Because I know I can totally relate to that. That's exactly how I felt. I was like, this is the shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, this is what I've needed for so long. And then I just never wanted to stop doing it. So I can totally relate to that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like this is the thing that's going to quiet my anxiety. Like, wow, I should be doing this all the time. And, you know, right off the bat, I knew I don't know how to say I knew I was different, but I drank a little different. We found that same vacation the next night. This someone in the hotel next to us too had a funnel, and he brought us a funnel and showed us how to use it. And then it was like, wow, I could get it down quicker and get more in me now. This is just, you know, let's keep going.
Yeah.
And we went and we bought whippets too on that same vacation and did a bunch of whippets and just anything to get out of that state of mind, that normal state of mind. After that point, when I got home, it was like something was opened up for me. Any drug that was offered, I was willing to give it a try because I figured if alcohol could make me feel good like that and reduce anxiety, I'm willing to try whatever.
Yeah.
The next couple years of high school just progressed. A lot more drinking, a lot more alcohol. 16, I got my license, and my grandfather sold me his Lincoln, beautiful Lincoln, 20,000 miles on it. It was like driving a couch. It was so nice. And so it was like a week after he sold it to me, a week after I got my license, we all went out to a buddy of mine's sister's house, and we're partying. And we're about to leave, and my buddies are like, "You're pretty messed up, man. You shouldn't drive." And I was like, "This is my brand new car. No one's driving it." We went to Denny's.
Shit.
Yeah, went to Denny's, and two of my buddies decided not to pay their bill while I was in the bathroom throwing up. So we leave and get pulled over a mile down the road, and the cop's like, "You guys want to pay your bill or what?" Smells like alcohol. Pulls me out of the car, gives me the whole field sobriety, and I ended up getting a DWI that night. And the worst part was, as he's got me cuffed, about to put me in the car, he says, "We're got to press charges unless you guys pay the bill." The two guys I was with didn't have money for their bill, so it cuffed. He's got to reach in my pocket and pull $20 out. So I always say that, you know, for $20 I could have avoided that DWI, but still, besides the fact, you know,
How
whatever
old were
happened.
you when you got that DWI?
16.
16? Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that sucks, man, because that's young, and that, like, DWIs, they are so, like, you keep getting them, especially if you keep racking them up. I know a friend that kept getting them, and he ended up going to prison behind drinking and driving,
Yep.
you know?
I actually never got another one, but you know, still it was a pain. Took my license for 18 months, probation. I got put on probation, but that was probation was a joke, to be honest with you. You
Oh,
know
I
that.
know.
Yeah, I showed up, and I was just about at this time. I was doing really well in football, and I was getting a scholarship to play college football. So my probation officer was basically like, "The guys I got to deal with coming in here before and after you are a pain in the ass, and you don't seem like you are. So don't give me problems, and I'll leave you alone." And that was it. I didn't follow the rules. I didn't follow the curfew. He continued to party and drink. He never drug tested me. So it was kind of like just, I don't know, slap on the wrist or whatever.
What did your parents, how did they react when you got that DWI? Because if they're anything like my mom and dad, they were freaking out.
Yeah, through the roof. Absolutely through the roof. Didn't know what to say, how to, you know, and I'm so young at that point, like 16, it's like you just got your license. What the fuck are you thinking? Are you doing? Like, and so, yeah, I definitely got in a lot of trouble for that. And it was a lot of, you know, the next 6 months, you're doing nothing but going to school and football, and that's it.
Yeah.
But they still ended up helping me pay for the lawyer and the fines and stuff, and nothing against them. They don't know any better. That's just this old Italian family of love.
Right.
As we look back now, a lot of it could have been enabling, but no one at that point knew, including them or me. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
you know, everything else was fine. Grades are good. I'm doing well in sports. I got friends. So it's just like, oh, he was an idiot, made a terrible choice, but we didn't really think any more of it at the time.
Well, yeah, that was like at the very beginning, you know. And here's the thing, like, my mom and dad, would have done the same things if my mom hadn't started going to Al-Anon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because my dad was like, we got to help her. We got to get her out of this trouble. We got to do this. We got to do that. And then my mom was like, no, we got to let her hit, bottom. And so it's hard because I remember my parents fighting and almost getting a divorce because of my addiction, because of my mom would want to do this and my dad would want to do that. So it's really, really difficult. And, like you said, we don't blame your mom and dad. Like they were just doing what they thought was best for you to help you.
Exactly. And they started going to Al-Anon and Nar-Anon, later, about a decade later, and have looked back on all this stuff, and they're thinking about it. But at the time, yeah, like your parents don't know, or one might know and the other doesn't. Like you said, it's really just a lot of fights with how to handle the situations as they got worse. Yeah, definitely relate to that. Now, something that happened in high school, it's very, significant, is I got my first concussion in football. I downplayed it, got back on the field pretty quick, but that was the start. The following year, I got another one, and then when I progress a little bit later, I'll explain. But those first two were the start of a lot of concussions, which led really down the road of the drugs instead of the alcohol.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, during this whole period of high school too, the guys I hung out with, it kind of masked my youth too, because three of them are actually in AA and NA right now in recovery. Three of them probably should be, but I don't want to say what they should. But our whole group, we like naturally clicked because we all loved drugs and alcohol. So my use didn't look out of the ordinary because of everyone who's next to me.
Right.
Yeah, but like my best friend who I worked with at the restaurant, I mean, at 17, we're making Captain and Cokes at 7 o'clock, washing dishes. By the time we leave at 11, we can't walk.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this was a nightly thing. Then we started drinking Wednesday, Thursday nights, going to school hungover. We got breathalyzed at school a couple times, and always got out of it because I did well in sports.
Right.
They always, like that DWI, my punishment, the higher up said you got to kick him off the team. My coaches jumped in and said, he's a good player. We need him on the team. Give him a different punishment. And because they wanted a good team, they kind of let it slide as long as I do. They made me go to 5 AA meetings. That was my punishment. But that, again, too, was another theme of like, I'm starting to learn this manipulating of, hey, if I get good grades, I keep the teachers off my ass. If I perform on the field, I keep the coaches off my ass. If I'm respectful to friends and family, I'll keep my parents and everyone else off my ass. And I could do all this partying and no one will know a damn thing.
Right. You were already learning how to hustle, folks.
Oh, big time. It was crazy, because I remember situations too, like a couple of my buddies, we got caught with coke by one of his parents. And this specific guy's mom is yelling at us, and she pulls me aside afterwards and said, Kyle, I'm sorry to have to yell like that, but this can't happen, but I know you weren't involved. I was the one who bought it and brought it, but they would never think that of me, because I did a good job of bullshitting everyone around, I guess.
I know what you mean. And I hate to even have to say this, but that's the same way I was. I was a master manipulator, number one bullshitter. And I think that we're all, and what you were describing at the beginning when you were talking about when you were young, just having this anxiety. I don't know if it's from my dad's Italian. I don't know if it's like part of the Italian genetics, but like I've always had this overbearing worry, like controlling. I would be in need to control everything. And if I wasn't in control, I was freaking out. And so in my addiction, that psychotic, like micromanaging, any boyfriend he had to be like with me. If he wasn't, I was hella jealous and like just acting out crazy. it was like, but my dad is the same way, and my mom is this little Mexican lady that's like, hum la 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 la, all peace and shit, you know?
That's really interesting. My parents are very similar. My mom is very easygoing, can just if something gets changed, she's fine. And my father, that old Italian, like you said, him and his mother control. Everything's got to be lined up. Bills are paid months ahead of time. Worry about this.
Yes, yes. Did
Yeah.
your dad like freak out and like tell you all the time about how important it is to make sure your credit was good?
Still to this, I mean, literally
Okay.
an hour ago, he said that to me still.
Mine
Yeah.
too.
Since maybe 10 or 11 years old, I've been getting that talk about credit and finances and how much, you're going to pay penalties and don't do this. And, and there's a lot of times I say, like, you need to let me learn, even if I make a huge mistake. Then if I get nailed and they send me a letter saying you forgot a payment, I'm going to remember it a lot more than you covered for me. But it's love. To them, it's just pure love. Like, I will do anything to look out for you. And I understand that. I get that completely.
Yeah.
That's how they are, how they were raised, And so let me see. That's kind of how high school ended. Was just a lot of parties and keeping it quiet under the radar. I got a scholarship to Edinburgh University, Pennsylvania, and Division II football. I went there to play football. My first weekend there, I got arrested. Those blue emergency call lights on campus that people can hit if they're having an emergency, like if a girl's in danger or a guy's in danger. And I was walking home, and I was so drunk, I thought it would be a good idea to kick that. So I kicked it, and they chased me down, and I chew tobacco. So I had to chew tobacco in, and I spit it on the cop, not intentionally, and he gave me assault, and then I gave him the wrong ID. I had a fake ID. So it was this plethora of charges, but it was like I had to call my parents not even a week into school and say, I got 4 felony charges, and I need a lawyer down here. And it was a disaster. And I think that, too, was a lot of time when maybe I didn't drink and drug like others started to really click with a lot of people in the family.
Yeah.
I actually got out of it, though, because the cop never showed up to court. So, he called in the lawyer or called in the judge like 20 minutes after my trial date was supposed to start and said he just got done working a double shift. He's sorry he's late. And the judge basically said, all right, I'm going to give you a slap on the wrist because we don't have a witness, whatever. Again, I kind of looked at it as I got out of it.
Right. Yeah.
But all the guys I lived with down in school, all the football players from around, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Ohio, when we weren't practicing, we were drinking. And, I'm 250 pounds, 6 foot. I was the smallest guy in the house. These guys are out drinking me. So again, it kind of masked it. Like, it wasn't a big deal to put a case of beer down in a night or, whatever it was. The thing with most of those guys, though, is they didn't do drugs. I usually would drive back to Rochester, get drugs, and bring it back down to college. And I was like the only one out of my friends that did them until I started to branch out into the druggy scene around school, which none of the guys who played football did. But my second year in college, I got a concussion my first year, so that's my third. I got a concussion my fourth year, that's my fourth. Then I was driving back to Rochester to see a neurologist in Rochester, and I brought a buddy of mine back with me from school, and this doctor's appointment was a Saturday morning at 10 a.m. We went out that Friday night with some of my old friends from high school and got in a fight. And a guy that had this giant lacrosse ring on knocked me out, and I got a concussion again, not even 5 days after the last one. So I showed up to the doctor's office the next morning with a black eye like that, and this is now my 5th concussion. And that started to cause major problems: depression, lack of focus, anxiety, mood swings, just all these things that I'd never had before.
Is that what happens if you keep getting multiple concussions like that?
Yeah, and there's a snowball effect too. So if you get one, it becomes easier to get the second and the third and the fourth, because something to do with how the brain jostles in the skull. It becomes easier each consecutive time, and it doesn't have to be that strong of a blow. That's why they get so worried in football, especially if you don't let them heal. And I never let my first couple heal properly. I always lied and said, I'm good to go back on the field. But now the first two were 2002 and 3. This point, it's 2007 and 8, and all that Will Smith concussion movie, the NFL concussion stuff's coming out. So the protocol is getting a lot steeper.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, I had to make a choice. Am I going to continue to play football or not? My school said, even if you want to play, you got to sit out for a year. No questions asked. I guess, was an NCAA rule. I decided between that and my brain in general, I just don't want to risk it anymore, and I'm going to be done playing. That was a huge turning point, because my identity for 20 years had been football player. Now I'm not playing football. I'm at college. We used to have to keep 2 to 6 p.m. open every day for practice. Now I have that block open, and my identity's gone. I'm having all these concussive symptoms, and it was just like alcohol and drugs quieted it. So every day I found somebody, some different group, and partied with them. I didn't care who it was, what they were doing.
Yeah.
And that was just a nonstop thing. I went to a doctor that was loosely affiliated with our team in Erie, Pennsylvania. They would send people to him. He wasn't an official trainer. He had his own practice, but he was a nice guy. But college football is a big business, and they either want you to quit and clear up your scholarship money or get you back on the field. I saw this doctor. The third time I saw him, I left his office with Percocets. It was getting Percocet 5 milligrams twice a day. I consecutively went to his office every 2 months for the next 6 months. The last time I left his office, I left with Roxy 30s, 2 of them a day. So he jumped me from 5 milligrams of Percocet to Roxy 30s in less than 6 months. And during that time, I did 2 physical therapies, 2 sessions, not 2 things. So I'm not putting the blame on him, but I definitely wasn't putting the effort into it either.
Right.
And now I'm taking these pills, I'm drinking, I'm taking them a lot more than normal and going through them. And previous to that, even in high school and stuff, I didn't do many painkillers, but I did a ton of cocaine and ecstasy. So I like drugs. I had them. Now I got them given to me on a prescription, and I'm off to the races. I ended up moving back to Rochester, and the next 3 or 4 years were just progressive Oxycontin addiction. Pills, snorting them, getting worse and worse and worse, stealing, robbing, lying, all that stuff. But I kept a job, and I kind of kept it in check. So that quieted everything. 2012, I moved to Baltimore. My family and me, we thought maybe moving to a new city would be a cure. I had some friends in Baltimore, and my buddies from college, actually, who just drank. They didn't do any drugs, but they worked like 70 hours a week selling life insurance. So they said, we got a job for you. Get down here. I went down there, and I was sober for maybe like a month, and I was drinking with them. And we were selling life insurance in the worst neighborhood in Baltimore. And part of the thing we had to do was, if somebody wanted to buy it, we have to ask you all about your medications and your drug history. So the first time I was with somebody who said, yeah, I take Oxy, I lit up. Then I actually went back to a client's house. I knew they were struggling for money. This is completely against, my insurance certificate and all that. But You want to sell some of those?
Right.
And then I started my drug use right down there again. Down in Baltimore, it was an entire new world of drugs. If any of you guys watched The Wire, it is dead accurate. I mean, I met this older couple in their 60s that, ironically, the guy's son robbed me. So he called the number from my phone, and before he robbed me, so that was the only number I had, and I kept calling it back, and it was this older guy, and he said, "My son robbed you. I'm sorry. He's an asshole. Come meet me, and I'll take care of you." I met this guy, and he actually gave me some for free, so I wasn't sick, and I ended up, hanging out with him and his wife for the next 8 months. But
That's
I'd go pick.
exactly how it is in Hot Springs and Little Rock. It's so many older people that have these prescriptions for the oxy, and that's exactly what I would do. I would move in with, like, I had this old man, his name was Mr. Lawrence. He's like 67, 70 years old. He wore these like old pimp suits with the hats and the alligator skin shoes. He drove a Cadillac, but he had all kinds of pills, and he'd be like, "Girl, you just pay me that rent and I'll keep you well." And I'm like, "Okay,
That's
you
a
got
fact.
it, Mr. Lawrence."
Yeah. And I know a lot of older people too with like crack or cocaine addictions who back in the day would go get Oxy or Percocet knowing that it could cover their whole other addiction.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, so this guy, him and his wife, I would pretend I'm going to sell life insurance. I got my suit and tie on. I'd go meet him and his wife and then pick them up and give them like $10 maybe, and they'd get me dope because I didn't know the neighborhoods or the people. So one time we went, and what they do in Baltimore is they'll throw out testers because there's so many gangs competing for your money. So you'd go to like one of the projects and they go in the courtyard, and one dude would literally come out and just toss 100 free vials in the yard. And the one time we went there, so it's me, this woman, Renee, and her uncle, who had to be about 75 because she was 60. So we're going to get the testers, and she says, "Don't get out of the car." And I'm like, "Why? I want some too." "Don't get out of the car. Trust me." Him and her get out of the car. There's like 30 people just kind of walking around. You could tell that they're waiting. All of a sudden, the dude comes out. He looks around, tosses them. All 30 of these people mosh pit on each other, and they're going nuts. So they both get back in my car, and he's got about, I don't know, 12, 13 of them, and he's got a pair of scissors bloody all over him. So I'm like, what the hell happened? He was stabbing people in the leg with the scissors to get, so they drop theirs because that's free testers. That's free dope.
Yep.
And I never saw anything like that until years later when I actually watched The Wire and they did that in a scene. And I was like, that's that accurate. Like, I can't believe that actually happened. But that was, and I didn't inject at that point. I was still snorting the dope. They did, but I would just go to their house, sit there for 6-7 hours. And because I bought them a couple, they didn't care. And, then I would drive home at the end of the night, pretend like I had some appointments and, say that I didn't make any sales, and that was it. New Year's Eve, 2012, going into 2013, I pulled the short straw to be DD. So it was like 11 p.m. We were all out partying in Baltimore. I was dead sober. A friend of ours came up to us and said, "Hey, I live right up the street." She said, "You guys can all sleep at my house if you don't want to drive a half hour back to your house." So he said, "Cool." I went up to the bar. We already paid. It was $100 to get in, all you could drink for everybody. And I had to pay even though I wasn't drinking. So I said tequila and water and don't stop. I woke up the next day in Johns Hopkins Hospital, butt naked, strapped down to the bed. I got a catheter in, a heart monitor on, all this stuff. I don't remember anything after I said keep the shots coming. Apparently, I jumped off the Baltimore Harbor, hit my head on the way down, and fell into the Chesapeake when it was 33 degrees. So the water's pretty much frozen. My best friend jumped in after me and held me up, and we're both fully in suits too. And my other buddy called my father, who's in Rochester, New York, 7 hours away. I don't know why he called my dad. I think he thought I was going to die. But I always remember talking to my dad about this. I feel so bad for that. I mean, I can't imagine being a father and getting a call that your son fell in. We don't know if he's going to make it. And you're 7 hours away drive. There's nothing you could do, nothing you could do to help. It's 2 a.m. And you might not even be able to talk to your, like, it wasn't like I was talking to him. It was just a guy on the phone and they hear me screaming in the background. They ended up airlifting me out of the water. It was just a nightmare, and the whole scenario was just awful. But I mean, thank God my best friend saved me. And, again, what our parents go through is just unbelievable. At least mine. I'll keep it, I moved back to Rochester, and that was when I started injecting. The heroin was a lot cheaper and better in Baltimore. So when I got back home, I'm getting smaller quantities for more money. A buddy I was with was shooting up. I said, I need to do that. He tried talking me out of it. I said, I'm going to do it whether you help me or not, so you better help me.
Right.
And like you said last night, I think, or 2 nights ago. And the next 4 months was a spiral of, I never thought, like, the last 5 or 6 years before that, it got worse and worse. The day I injected was like gone. I was robbing the next day. I was stealing the next day. I got fired from my job 2 days later. I robbed everything in my house within a week. I mean, it was just off to the races.
Oh yeah, when you inject anything, it's just like I don't know. People can't understand unless they've done it like that. It's just unbelievable the difference in from when you are smoking or snorting to when you start injecting. It's night and day.
Yep. And the hard part is, and I'm sure you know this, you can never go back to the old way.
Right.
Every time I went back and tried to snort it or smoke it or ingest it, it's like, this is pointless. I need a needle.
Waste.
Yep. So, and that culminated. So that was January of 2013. May 18th of 2013, I got caught. I was doing a lot of burglaries in Rochester, and it was a Saturday morning. I slept in my car that night because my parents kicked me out of the house I don't know, maybe a week earlier. I was sleeping in my car, got high all night, ran out of drugs, so I broke in a house, and the homeowner came home when I was in his house, and he was walking in his garage door, and I was walking out with all his jewelry. I made a good decision of just running. He was a little guy. I was a pretty big, strung out guy still, but whatever. I'm glad I didn't hit him or knock him over or anything, because that would have been a home invasion. But I just ran, and he called the cops, and they pulled me over a couple streets away, felony stop, all that. When I went to jail, they charged me with a bunch more burglaries from the previous couple of weeks.
Oh.
Yeah, they linked to me because of stuff I had in my car and a bunch of other stuff. That was the start of, I ended up getting sentenced to 3.5 years in prison in New York State. So now my first year in prison, it was kind of a joke. I got to a pretty decent spot. They cooked, they had stoves and stuff. I got with a group of guys that were, some older Italian guys. We cooked pasta. My grandma was sending us in salami. The other guy's wife is sending him in this and that. And, it was like, I was like, this is prison. And,
Right.
I'd work out. I got high almost every day. It was unbelievable. Then I failed the drug test, and I got 30 days in solitary.
Ooh.
That was the start. The next my last 2.5 years, I ended up spending 12 months and 25 days in solitary, 5 different trips. The longest trip was 123 days straight. Solitary is the most awful pit of hell I have ever been in. it is the most depressing, miserable, hopeless, helpless place ever. I would rather go through 10 years of sleeping in my car in heroin withdrawal than be back in solitary.
Damn, yeah.
It is, and I mean, I was taking antidepressants for all the concussions at this point and mood swings and stuff. Solitary is like, I cannot describe the hopelessness of it. Just being thrown in a room. In New York State, when you're in long-term solitary, you got a bunkie. So it was nice to have another human to talk to, but two people in a room for 4 months together, you're going to get on each other's nerves. You're going to fight. You got to watch each other take a shit. It gets, but waking up in this locked 10-foot by 6-foot room, and there is nothing to do but read books. And the books, a lot of times they run out of books or there's only left in Spanish. I mean, I definitely lost my sanity a couple times in there.
Damn, I can't even imagine staying. I mean, I was in the hole for like 3 days and I thought I was going to die.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And it's funny because my last time in there, we got a big packet they brought around and dropped it off in everyone's door. A bunch of ex-inmates sued New York State and they won. And so after that, New York State wasn't allowed to send any. They basically had to cut all their solitary times like by a quarter. So when I got in trouble, the first time you failed the drug test, you went 30 days. Second time you went for 60. Third time 90 to 120. Fourth time it could be a 180 and up. After that, the lawsuit, it was like 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, and I think it still even went down more. But yeah, and once I was on the radar, it was game over. And each time I got out, they sent me to a new prison. So I was at 9 different prisons. And I'd get to the new place, and I would be so mentally gone from just spending the last 3 or 4 months locked in this room that I would sit there and fight with myself, going back and forth of, I need to get high or I'm going to kill myself. But if I get high, I'm going back to this place that I hate more than anything on the planet. And I would sit there and just argue with myself and eventually give in because I didn't know any other way to quiet besides doing drugs.
Yeah.
It was brutal. So, yeah, that was my last 2.5 years. And, you know, they ended up kind of getting sick of me at the end. So they said, okay, you're going to spend your last couple weeks here in Attica. So they sent me to Attica, and, you know, it's pretty infamous in New York State. It's the big, you know, escape in 1970s. It's the, you know, Supermax in New York State. And it's no joke, no fun, just stabbings, cuttings, beatings all day. That's where I did, you know, my last little bit of time and then got released. When I got released, this old timer told me once in jail, he said, what are you going to do when you get out? And I said, you know, I'm going to do good. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to be sober. And he said, no, you're not. And I was like, what are you talking about, asshole? What do you mean I'm not? And he's like, I know you're not, because look what you're doing in here. You're out there chasing drugs all the time. Do you think there's a magic rainbow the day you walk out that you're a different person?
Right.
And I was pissed at him at the time, but he couldn't have been more right. Because when I got out, I did nothing different. And within a couple months, I was getting high again. And I ended up getting in trouble through, you know, violated on parole. And I went to Willard, which is like, they give you a choice. You can go back to prison for a year on a parole violation, or you could do Willard, which is a 97-day program. And it's like military boot camp, except with the, you know, obviously there's no guns training in combat. But it's up at 5 a.m., guards screaming at you, fold your clothes, get down and do push-ups, you big-nosed Italian. They try to break you. And, you know, I actually enjoyed it because the chaos of addiction up to that point, and now I was somewhere where they had every second of your day mapped out, was actually a little bit of a relief. And I worked out my whole life anyway, so it wasn't like the workout part I didn't mind. But
we do good in structure like that. I was the same way. when I got locked up, I went to this boot camp prison and I freaking did amazing. It was nothing. I went in there and just knocked it out, came back out, tried to stay sober, and then got high. But it's like when we go into places like that, I swear, like I know so many other addicts that are the same way, where it's like we get in there and we thrive and we listen to what we're told and we comply and we do everything we're supposed to do.
Yeah. What state was that in?
Arkansas.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
have a boot camp style prison here for women, and it's in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. It's just Arkansas Department of Corrections, but it's everything is like military. You have to march everywhere you go. You have to. I had to be up at 2 o'clock in the morning to work in the laundry department. Everything was folded like in the little squares. Perfect.
Yep.
It was crazy. Real strict.
Ours was the exact same, and ours was co-ed, but you weren't allowed, like men and women didn't really ever cross each other. But yeah, and I mean they try to like break you down. I'm sure you did too. Like every piece of rice you didn't eat at lunch was 10 push-ups. So you got as much food as you're gonna eat. Or like one guy was, making jokes at the lunch table. So they literally made him stand in the garbage while everybody came and dumped their empty food on top of him. And he had to walk around, march around the rest of the day like that. So they do all that, and then the last 30 days, I guess they try to build you up. But the good part of Willard, that's what it's called, was they basically, when like a normal military boot camp would do like arms training and stuff, what they do there is AA. So like 2 or 3 times a day, you would have an AA meeting, a recovery meeting, because the majority of people in there are addicts.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, I really got introduced to 12-step type stuff in there. And when I got violated that time, when I was in the county jail waiting to go to that boot camp, I had a phone call with my parents that was the most depressing, awful phone call of my life, where they basically were like, we're planning your funeral. We're planning it mentally. Your brother's, I have one older brother. He's getting married. He wanted me to be his best man. They're like, you can't do it. We only have one son. We're just planning on your death. That kicked my ass. That with being back in jail, the whole cycle of, I just left 3.5 years at this place and I'm right back. And all that combined was like this rock bottom that just kicked my ass. So when I went to that boot camp, I had a chance to get high. I didn't. I really wanted to do well.
Mm-hmm.
When I got out, a friend of mine, her father, his old girlfriend, her father is in the program, and he kept texting me to go to a meeting with him, and I gave him excuses for a while, and I eventually went. And when I did, I started to get in the middle of the recovery scene. Some 12-step stuff. I got involved in there, a lot of meetings, got a sponsor. I asked the guy who looked like me to be my sponsor. I was like, oh, he's Italian. He's about my age. He'll be my sponsor. I asked him, and he's like, man, I'm way too busy. I'm starved, but ask that guy. And he points to this other guy, and it's this shorter, like 60-year-old black guy. And I'm like, he doesn't look like me. He doesn't talk like me. I don't want to ask him. I did, and he's been my sponsor for like 3.5 years now. He is awesome. I mean, this guy understands me better than anyone on this planet. And it just kind of goes to show, too, that, I judge a book by its cover, or just kind of assume that I'm not going to get along or work well with somebody. And I mean, this guy's like part of my family now. It comes to eat at grandma's on Sundays. He's over meeting the parents, and that sounded a little weird, but whatever. Well, it's like he's coming to meet the parents like as a boyfriend or something, but no. That is another weird part about addiction too. During all this, like girls and girlfriends, unless they were getting high, we were put on the back burner.
Yeah.
Like, if they were getting high with me, we'd have fun, but like a regular relationship, it might last a couple weeks until drugs are going to be first in my head always, and it's going to just crack apart the relationship.
Right.
And like you said too, there's just so much with the control aspect, or trying to control another drug user is, you can't control anybody, but let alone somebody in the middle of addiction with you.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't
Yeah.
know. When I look back on it, I don't even like. I know that the reason why me and my husband got out together is because of our son. Like,
Yeah.
my son is what kept us together and what actually saved our lives. If we didn't have my son, we would not be together still. We would have left each other. I know it. I know that something would have happened and we would have been like, yeah, something would have happened. But my son was born, and that just brought us together, and we just like, now we have our family and we have our son and we're happy. And but if we hadn't had Nate, I don't know, we probably would have killed each other.
You guys get sober around the same time?
Yep.
Okay, that's awesome.
I stayed, and he had a few hiccups in between, but he's caught back up to me now, and he's been doing real good for about the last year and a half now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so I know I'm running long here, but so the only other thing I wanted to really talk on was like when like after this period, so I was doing pretty good. I'm getting going in recovery. I mean, I got complacent and I did have a relapse. Lucky it was only a couple days, but that was because I got cocky. My year was coming up. I thought I'm doing good enough. And I also wasn't being true to myself in just a lot of things, just still kind of lying to myself about little things here and there.
Yeah.
But I would see people out, like, friends or family, not family, excuse me, friends or friends, their family out at like the store. People would ask how I'm doing, and I'm, 30 years old, 29 years old at this point, and all my high school friends, they got jobs, they're married, kids, whatever. And I'd be embarrassed to be like, oh, I'm living at home. I'm, working a minimum wage job. I just got out of prison. And I didn't know how much they knew. So I would beat around the bush with this, and I'd be so embarrassed. And then I also had all this energy, like mental energy. I work at a restaurant. I love my job, but it's not very stimulating. So I'd come home and I'd have this mental energy and nothing to do with it, and which is where I'd go out and get high before. That's when I really decided, like, you know what? I'm going to stop hiding from my story. Maybe it could help somebody else. And that's when, I actually bought a website, SoberDogs.com, and I started sharing my story. And I'm not saying that to try to pump my site or anything.
No, that's what you share it as. I want you to do that. Like, you share it as much as you want, and kind of like tell everybody about about your dogs, and tell them about like how you started your channel and how you started the website. That's fine. Yeah, go do that.
Well, no, I appreciate that. It just like the real reason I did it was just once I put it out there, and one of the first things I put up was something about solitary, because I try to help other programs fight against solitary. It was like this relief that I don't have to hide behind my past. Like, it happened, I can't change it. I can learn from it and move on and use it now to maybe help somebody else. And I know that's exactly what you do with your channel, and it was such a relief and a burden. And when I saw people, like, I didn't worry about telling them the truth. And like, that's it. If you don't want to talk to me, you don't like me because of what my past is, great. I'm sorry, but I guess you're not in my life. And I was able to accept that. And anyone that really did love me completely accepted that anyway. And I just started putting up more stuff. And my goal was, I named it Sober Dogs because animals, I love dogs. I love animals. My dogs are, my life. Well, my dog now, I had to put one to sleep last year, but they relax me. They calm me down. That wagging tail every day is my favorite sight. And I wanted people to know that being sober is not miserable. I always assumed that getting sober I would do it because I didn't want to die and my family to have to bury me. But I'd be a miserable person because there's nothing fun without drugs and alcohol. That couldn't be further from the truth. So I wanted to incorporate that, and then also get like real facts about addiction out there from somebody who's been through it. Because I don't know about you, but when I talk to doctors and stuff, they're great and they could tell you all the research and facts and medication. But when it comes to like, hey, what did heroin withdrawal feel like? listening to you tell me that, I guarantee you could tell me that 100 times better than 50 doctors.
Oh yeah.
And I wanted to just get that information out there for people. Like, this is what it was like for me, physically going through whatever the case is, trying marijuana maintenance. You know, I tried smoking pot for a year during recovery. Yes, it is the lesser of two evils, but personally, it destroyed me. It still made me anxious and paranoid, and it didn't help. I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to tell people what recovery is right or wrong. There's no wrong recovery. There's no right recovery. Your recovery is your recovery. But, you know, I wanted to explain, like, yeah, I tried it. This is how it worked out for me, not well, versus, yes, you know, these people could tell you, oh, the research says this. Great. What does it feel like going through it? What is it like? So that's really helped me try to get stuff like that out there. And I know you've said this before too, talking to you the other day, Nicole, you said, you know, when I do stuff like this, or if I put a video on YouTube or write an article, hopefully it helps others. But one thing I know for sure is it always helps me stay sober. It keeps it in the front of my brain. And anytime anyone reaches out and said, hey, that post or that video or that comment was great, that is just so good for my sobriety, because I'm out of my head trying to help others, hopefully.
Yeah.
And I know you know that, you know, you do so much to help so many people with all these meetings and putting your phone number. I told you the other day privately, I would never put my phone number online, because I'll turn my phone off in a half hour and I won't look or answer any texts or calls for the rest of the night. Nothing personal. I'll be private, sitting on my bed, relaxing.
I was scared at first, but it's really not that bad. Like, a lot of people that call, they'll text first, because they're like, is this really her number? Is it really going to be Nicole? And they'll text and say, Nicole? And I'm like, that's me. Or I'll just call them and be like, what's up?
You did that to me. I texted you and you called right back.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone ever wanted to talk, I'm all for it. You know, I'd privately give people my number. I'm not comfortable with that yet, but you know, everybody's got their own way to do things. And you know, I love reaching out and talking with people like you and doing other stuff for recovery, because and like your channel too, you says right on there, no judgment, like with the Facebook group and stuff. That's how it should be, because there's a place here in Rochester called Recovery Fitness. Three recovering addicts started it. One of them actually passed away. He OD'd, but and what their goal was, they said AA meetings are great, but a lot of people our age, I don't know how old you are, and I'm not asking on here if you're not comfortable saying it, but like maybe 35 and younger, 40 and younger, have a lot of energy, and they're in recovery, and just sitting in a meeting for an hour doesn't do it. So they built like this whole fitness center, and they do sober hikes and sober fitness and sober yoga and all this great stuff. They occasionally bring in 12-step meetings, HA, NA, AA, whatever. But like, they're the same thing too. Like their recovery, you know, a lot of it has to do with fitness. Other people's 12-step, other people outpatient. I'm a little bit mix of everything. So there's no right or wrong. Whatever recovery works for you. I just think that a recovery is necessary. Something to keep it in, you know, in people's brains daily, I guess. At least for me, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I just want people to know, like, it doesn't matter if you get sober through abstinence, or sober through maintenance, or sober through going to church and getting the Holy Ghost. I mean, it shouldn't matter. And the thing about it is it shouldn't matter to anybody what I'm doing for my recovery. Like, I'm not going to hassle you. Kyle, I really don't think you should go to AA. I think you need to get rid of your sponsor. Like, it's working for you. Look, you're thriving. So why am I going to, you know, I almost feel like sometimes people want to come on, and it's because they see you thriving and they're uncomfortable. They want to say something like, you shouldn't be doing it this way. You should be doing it that way. So I just wanted to create a place where you didn't have to worry about judgment, and you can come here and have support. Everybody tries to be positive. That's the whole point of this channel, is to be positive and to support each other. Like, we can go be negative somewhere else. If you want to go be negative, go to a drama channel. If you want to go be negative, go watch the news, you know. But when you
Politics,
come
yeah.
here to this channel, it's about supporting each other, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, with the Mara and the medication, I am all for you know, people that need medication or want to take some type of Suboxone, methadone to get off drugs. You know, again, it's not a perfect scenario, but it does not matter. I took it and it saved my life. And I didn't start till 5 months sober. I actually saw an addiction doctor at a seminar, and she at that recovery place, she was given a free seminar, and she said, you know, the research is unparalleled with people who are taking it versus not taking it, and overdose deaths in the first year. Because I was 5 months sober and I'm having crazy cravings, and the outpatient I was going to, which was like a Medicaid outpatient, said, "Yeah, we'll get you in. It's about 8 weeks till you can see the doctor." I called her. I had to pay privately, pay her cash to get in, but she got me in 2 days, and I firmly believe that saved my life because those cravings.
Because you probably would have relapsed at
Oh,
that
I know
five
I would have.
months.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
I was
with
on
people
edge.
like us, that's what we've done. We chronically relapse, and
Yeah.
it's almost like I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'll ever not. I hope that I've gotten to a place now where I won't do that again. But like, I feel like I'm at a good place, and that's why I'm tapering. But like, the more I think about it, I think about just how I've always done things and how, oh Lord, I pray every day that He protects me. But Suboxone has helped me to maintain the sobriety that I have today. And let's say I get down low and I jump off and I'm feeling good, and 6 months goes by, and then all of a sudden I start feeling this urge to want to get high. I will go back on Suboxone before I ever go out and put my son and my family at risk. You know,
That's,
screw what other people think. Screw them. You
yep.
know.
Yeah,
So
and it again, that is up to you and your doctor or whatever. You know, that's no one else. That's not my business. You know, so I totally agree with that. And the other thing I noticed too, when in like 2012, I got on a Suboxone program. Um, and right off the bat, I was selling them and I was using them like in between days of getting high to just get through the withdrawal versus when I got on them the last time, my mindset was immediately different where I did not want to abuse them. I
right.
wanted to take this as prescribed to deal with the problem. So I think that can help too, depending on if somebody really is in the mindset of this is sobriety or recovery now versus, and I'm not judging the people that did it the other way because I definitely did that for years. You know,
Yeah.
I just
A lot
wasn't
of people
ready.
do. It's just something shifts and something clicks and that change starts happening, you know,
Yeah,
just like the miracle has, you know how they say in AA where they say don't leave until the miracle happens.
yeah,
The moment of clarity, that's what happens for each person that's taking maintenance medication. It's like one day you just get this, it just clicks and things start falling into place, you know?
absolutely.
So I wanted you to know that we've been linking your channel in the chat, and a lot of people have been heading over there to subscribe. But I want you to go ahead and tell everybody one more time where your channel is and what your Instagram is, and then I'll holler at you later.
Alrighty. The channel is just SoberDogs. So if you type in SoberDogs on YouTube, it's the first one that comes up. And Instagram, it's SoberDogs2. Just SoberDogs, the number 2. And SoberDogs.com is the website with all the stuff on there. So,
Hell
and
yeah.
Real Talk Recovery is the best.
Oh, thanks, man. I really
Oh,
appreciate you for coming on. Like, and hopefully, what we'll be able to do for the next couple of weeks, since we're doing these meetings nightly, hopefully, I'll be able to have a couple of guests on each week, so that way we can go like a day where we just do a topic discussion, and then we have a speaker, and then a topic discussion, and then a speaker. So that way we stagger it. That way everybody, you know, I want there to be like a bunch of different kind of recovery to share. Like your recovery was like you were a poly addict, you were addicted to multiple things. Maybe next time I can have somebody on that was a straight alcoholic. Maybe the next time I can have somebody on that, you know, was addicted to crack cocaine. Like I'm trying to kind of like find different people. But every time I do it, like I get something out of it. So I really enjoyed your story. I could really relate to your family dynamic because my family is the same way. Maybe one day we'll all get to meet and hang out and have baked ziti and some lasagna and shit like that.
Absolutely. I will definitely be giving you a ring when I come down south.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All
Thank
right,
you so
Kyle.
much
Love you,
for having
man.
me on. Love you too. Have a great one. Everyone stay
Holler at me
sober.
later,
Reach
okay?
out. Use your support, everybody, please.
That's
Take
right,
care.
man. Thank you. All right, you guys, please go over and subscribe to Kyle's channel. SoberDogs is his channel. Super sweet guy. I'm so proud of how far he's come. He's a good kid, and I think we're about the same age, but I feel like if we lived in the same state, we would be like brother and sister or something, because he reminds me a lot of like my dad's side of the family. So listen, I hope you guys enjoyed tonight. We took up the whole entire time. So you guys got 7 minutes to go take a bathroom break, go pee, go get yourself a snack, and yeah, let's head over to Sober James's channel, okay? All right, you guys, I love y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow night at 7 for our Mara meeting, okay? See y'all at James's channel, Sober James.